mean, if you have time to write a 1-star review on a $20 book because it's stuff you already know, or a 99-cent Kindle book, I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
Like, you're clearly the wrong audience, right? So if you're hearing this and you're like, Phil, I already know how to get referrals. Well, good.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Are you doing it?
Right.
Because if you're doing it, your consultancy is spinning.
Yes.
And if you're not, how about you slow down?
Yeah.
And you give it a chance.
Yeah.
And you see what's available for you. Because I'll tell you right now, there is nothing new under the sun. Just you doing it. Up to you.
Yeah.
You do it, right? Add your flavor to it. Absolutely. But heck, why not try the framework of somebody who's been there a bunch of times, who's coached a bunch of people, who has helped people do this, and who really can simplify. I mean, that's my gift. Again, I'm not teaching you how to write a Taylor Swift song. I'm just teaching you how to get started.
They're speakers, authors, and real-life rock stars, bringing you life-changing thoughts that rock, taking conversation all the way to 11.
Most shows only go to 10.
Well, it's one louder, isn't it? These go to 11.
This is Thoughts That Rock. Now, here are your hosts, Jim Knight and Brant Menswar.
Welcome,
I figured
everyone.
we could have some fun with Phil.
That's right. That's right. Fun with Phil's today's episode. It's Thoughts That Rock. It is your favorite podcast where we go out and find just some really smart people to give you some really incredible advice to get started in whatever it is that you're looking to do. And today's episode is about getting started as a consultant, if that is something that you're interested in.
We didn't have to go out and find Phil for two reasons. One, he's a repeat guest, longtime friend of ours. He was in, I want to say, the first season. But really the second reason is he just invited himself to the party. He said, let me be back on the show again. And I said, okay, what do you want to talk about? So
well, I mean, that's exactly right on the lines of his book, right?
And that's what he did. He was giving away consultancy. He goes, I want to just talk about this thing. His book, $0 Consultancy, which, the topic we're actually going to talk about is how to add consultancy to your business and do it for $0. So, man, we didn't have to go far to find somebody when this is basically what he does. We talk to Phil a couple times a year. He's a small business expert. He's a celebrated author, charismatic keynote speaker, as you can tell when we do the interview here. But he's got like 2 decades of experiences in sales and marketing. He is a consultant and a coach, and he understands business strategies and methodologies that really help companies with their growth. And this book really just sort of added to his repertoire, if you will. So definitely you got to go check out his extensive bio and look at all of the accolades that we have in the show notes. I mean, the guy is just fun and he's amazing, right?
If you are looking to start, make $1, this is the episode to get you there. I think you'll get a ton out of this. It'll help your mindset as to thinking about what you can do now, not what you can do 10 years from now. Check out this incredible conversation we had with Phil.
Phil is here. He cannot get away from us. There's no way possible.
No, that would be impossible. And that would be bad. I love you guys. It's great to be here.
Good to have you, man.
It's great to have you back, brother.
We got to be transparent. We spent 45 minutes trying to make this happen today, in addition to like 2 or 3 times we've delayed. Sometimes we just go, oh, man, it took a while for you to get here. I'm not lying. This is Phil's second time, and it took us like 3-4 times to make this happen. So, dude, you're here. So thank you so much for making it happen.
Yeah, thanks for having me, really. It's great to be with you guys.
So you have, first off, I want to talk about your new book. We're going to jump right into this $0 consultancy because it fits in obviously with our message today, which is how to add consultancy to your business and to do that for $0. So hello, it's a complete layup with your book, man. But I got to say, we're just so thankful because this is really your second time around. I want to say, it may have been in first season or even second season. It's been a couple years.
First season,
It's been a hot minute.
Like episode 20 or something. Yeah.
So we're just thankful, man.
It's interesting, Jim. It's interesting because he's given basically our entire strategy for business is away, which is $0 consultancy. We don't charge anything for anything we do.
And all the tools he recommends we use. Anything little to no cost, that's right up our alley, man. We love that.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I was saying we don't charge shit. That's the problem, is that we've made $0 consulting. And so this is going to be a flip to that idea of how to actually add consultancy and make money without it costing you money.
Oh, that's right. I'm glad you reminded me, because it's my book and all. And just kidding. No, that's right on, Brad. Absolutely, man. That's the goal, right? Let's add consulting to your existing thought leader business, if you will, or whatever business that you're in. Really, I mean, you could be a plumber and you could still be a consultant, right? You could be a roofer and still consult. If you're ahead of anybody in business, really, you can consult people that are behind you. And the further ahead you are, right, and the more you've been successful, the more you can charge. But this is not Alan Weiss's $1 million consulting. This is Phil Gerbyshak's first dollar consulting.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the big difference here. I'm looking to help people with this book, because it's all the stuff that I've coached, that I've trained, that I've been asked questions about, that I'm like, okay, well, let's put it in a book for folks so that they can get started for next to nothing. Right. Yeah. And really, other than the cost of the book, nothing that I talk about in the book will cost you anything. Yeah. Except for some time, obviously, and some effort. But I mean, no dollars, right? That's why it's $0 consultancy. That's why there's a 0 with dollars around it on the cover, right? That's important, because I think so many people get hung up on, oh my gosh, it's so hard.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not that hard. Now, to be super successful, have $1 million business, okay, yeah, that's going to be harder. Of course it is, right? But to get started, just get started. And this is a great place to start.
It is. I was struck when I was flipping through it. And Phil, you and I had a great coffee meeting. We exchanged some of our new books. And it took me probably, 30 minutes, because I'm a slow read, because this is an easy read. But what I found was a lot of the tools that are out there. I mean, obviously, with the advance of technology, there's no reason why people can't do this. I mean, in addition to no dollars, like, this stuff is just sitting there available to you. And then, of course, like you were just alluding to, there are some great ideas from adding some consultancy, not just these tools, into your business. So I thought it was a fantastic read. It's a great, easy read. And I know you designed it that way on purpose, but man, I'm glad somebody put this thing together. And, for me, it's going to wind up being my Bible. Although I couldn't find it for the life of me. I thought I'd hidden it. It was sitting right beside my other computer. So I'm glad I found it.
I was going to tell you where it was, but I didn't want you to feel bad. Right. So I'm glad you found it, Jim.
No, I'm glad you've got the camera watching me in the office at all times. That's not
Brent set that up for me. No, not at all.
That's right.
I almost wore a red shirt just to prove that we are in fact a cult, the three of us, but thought we'd mix it up. Man, let's
drink the water. Drink the water.
Yes. All right, man. Let's get into this. Let's see where we can go in this half hour. Let's throw down your first thought that rocks on how to add consultancy to your business and do it for no money.
Yeah. Well, first you got to understand, what do people come to you for? What are you an expert for? People are coming to you already asking you questions. That's the first thing that you need to know. Now, if nobody's asking you questions, you're probably not going to be a consultant. But I'm going to bet that's not true. Right? I'm going to bet that you have some area of expertise where people are like, hey, can I pick your brain, have a coffee with you? Something around that you could offer the first time, maybe for free. Maybe you've done a few pick your brain sessions. But that's the place to start, is where are people already asking you questions? That's the first thought that rocks.
If they ask me about hair care products, is that considered consulting?
Well, that's an affiliate program. But if they ask you, how do you style it, right? And how can you give 78 different looks this year with just one can of mousse? Well, you wouldn't know that answer either, but Brant might, right? So there you go.
All right. I got to figure out what I'm an expert at.
Yeah.
I think that's as crazy as it sounds, it's really one of the harder questions to answer. We have Jim and I have a great friend, Phil, her name is Kathleen Wood, who helps consult with businesses and helps them grow. Right, that's her specialty, and she's done like billion-dollar companies. She's amazing. And one of the things that she'll ask you straight up at the top is, not only what are you an expert at, but what are you best at, right? And that's sort of, it takes some thinking, especially if you have a multi-pronged approach where you've got maybe multiple revenue streams coming in from different businesses. You don't want to muddy the water, right? So you got to sort of get it down to what are you an expert at, and what is that thing that they can only get from you and no one else, right? And I think that is a much more difficult conversation than on the surface.
Yeah, well, and that's where, right, I want to be clear. I'm not going to get you to that clarity. In fact, I would tell you, as you're starting out, it's okay to not have that clarity. I started out, I was doing management and leadership consulting, right? I started out that I was doing other things. This is, again, that first dollar. You need to add $1,000 before the holidays. Well, what are people already asking you that you can turn into some consulting, right? Because I'm with you, Brant. If I want to charge top dollar, absolutely. What's the thing that I'm best at, man? That's my $50,000 question, right? But I'm talking about, what's my $1,000 question? What's one thing that 10, 100 people have asked me questions on that I can answer, that I feel good about, that they've gotten some results from? That's the other thing, right? You want to see they get some results. That's the next thought that rocks, is you got to have some proof that you've done some work. Now, you don't have to have charged for it. I want to be clear here. This is your first dollar. This is not your millionth dollar. But early on, some of those testimonials, some of those case studies are simple. Hey, Jim, would you introduce me to Brant? He's very similar to you. And, I helped you with this challenge. Could you mention a Brant that I can help him with this challenge? Really simple, right? And that's the kind of the third thought, if you will. And that is, work your warm network. Don't go out and cold call. You don't want to call 1 million people. I want you to shrink the number down. 1 is greater than 1,000 in this case. One good person who is well connected, who can say good things about you, that can make some introductions, that can make some connections, that can boldly say, you know what? Phil Gerbyshak rocks, and you need to talk to him. That's the third tip here. The referral business. As you're starting out, you're not going to want a cold call. That's awkward. And I would tell you, that's awkward anyway. If you want to get $1 million, okay, maybe someday you do, or you have to hire somebody who does. But you just want to earn a little happy living here, earn an extra 10, 20, 50 grand this year. You don't have to cold call. You can use your warm network, your referrals. Heck, go even smaller than that and think about the people you already know that are like people you've already helped.
Yeah.
And then go talk to them. Hey, I've done good things for Jim. Brant, I can do good things for you too.
Man, there's definitely a lot to unpack here. I didn't mean to step on your Brant real quick. I'm just interested, at least going back for a second to your first thought. When we were looking and reading your introduction, there's a lot that I don't know if you would call yourself an expert on, but you certainly have dived into a lot of areas. But the words that did come out, an expert in sales and marketing, do you think that that's probably where your expertise is? If we were to point to it and say, what are people asking you for, a little bit of a shameless plug for you, what do you think that is?
Yeah, I think making sales and marketing systems simple, I think, is my gift through technology sometimes, right? So if we think about it, there's 3 things that we need for systems. We need tech. I've got 10 tools laid out there. There's a lot more, right? There's a lot more, but there's 10 for you in the book. Then we've got the process. Okay, how do we make this repeatable? How do we make this repeatable? How do we do this over and over again? And then the third one is the people. Not only the people that we know, but who are you to run this? I think if we take that triangle, right, that is my gift, right? That is my ability to help people, because I want to make it simple. I could have taken 300 pages to write that book, Jim.
Yeah.
I
could've.
purposely made it a 30 to 40-minute read.
Yeah.
I purposely only gave you 10 tools. I could have puked on you and given you 100. I chose not to because I want it to be simple.
Yeah.
So simple systems, simple solutions in typically sales and marketing. Those are my sweet spots.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's good. Brant, what were you going to say?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think that part of what's really coming through on this, Phil, is that this really is $1, right? This is getting started. And I think that most people just skip right over that. They just skip right to the problems, right? No, I don't want to make cold calls. No, I don't want to do this. Well, I don't have that, or I don't have this. But they're thinking of it. They're thinking of a business that's like $1 million business. They're not thinking of this like earning the first dollar. And that is such a monumental shift, even in mindset, right? Because I think we have a tendency to forecast ourselves out so far at times that we're not living in reality. We're living 10 years down the road, and we're making decisions like we're 10 years down the road, and we're not. We are here right now. And what you are saying is stop projecting out so far and just think about what can you do right now, and start there. And if it makes you $10, $100, $500, $1,000, that's where you start. And it's interesting, even when I first get out of college, I think like everybody, you're recruited by two companies. One is Enterprise Rent-A-Car and the other is MetLife, right? And so those are the two corporate raiders who live on corporate campuses. Like, you can make $60,000 a year washing cars at Enterprise Rent-A-Car. What they don't tell you is you work 88 hours a week and you have no days off. And it's this crazy part, but they have a fantastic management program that people can see themselves in, especially when you don't know what you want to do and you're really just chasing a buck when you first get out of school. But with MetLife, the very first thing they do when you get into their system is, who do you know? Who do you know? Forget about cold calling. Who do you know? Who are your family? Who are your friends? Who can you talk to that this isn't going to be a sales pitch? It's just going to be a conversation. And that's
unless
it.
you're at Amway,
And
then it is a sales pitch.
Unless you're at Amway, then it's, do you want to be an Emerald? Don't you want to be an Emerald, Jim? Put on the Converse.
Call your
put on the tin
family
hat.
now.
Let's do this.
Yes.
It's people coming to your house telling you how to make less money than you already make. But the idea here is that starting is not the same as finishing. And I think that we all start with a finishing mindset, unfortunately, and it really hurts our ability to get the ball rolling. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. One of the chapters in the book is called Just Get Started for that very reason.
Yeah.
So many people project way down the road. I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know what's going to happen next year. I don't have any clue, right? I couldn't have predicted COVID. I couldn't have predicted that I moved to Ohio. I couldn't predicted 5 years ago that I'd have 2 bonus kids and 3 dogs and a wonderful wife. I couldn't have predicted any of this stuff.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is that every day I take steps towards what I'm passionate about. Some days I take a step in the wrong direction. Some days I take a step backwards. And some days I step forwards. And that's cool because that's life. And if not, otherwise I'd be like, okay, well, in 15 years, where am I going to be? I don't know. Like, heck, when I got started, guys, the internet was 9,600 baud. I could have never predicted that I'd be able to talk to 2 of my buddies in 2 different states in real time on video.
Yeah.
Could not have predicted that, but I can tell you what, I got started. I built my first website on Angel Fire with the WYSIWYG editor, right? And it's still up because I don't know the password, all dedicated to the 80s. So there's probably pictures of your parents on there, guys, right? Let's just say that, right? And my parents too, because they had the big hair in the 80s. But just get started.
Yeah.
Just get started. Like, don't be so afraid that you're not going to be that $1 million consultant. Use this. Heck, you might hate consulting. Yeah. But if you make a couple extra bucks or you find out that you hate it and you make no money, heck, that $20 for the book is totally worth it.
Yeah. It reminds me of the old analogy, right? There are some people that are constantly planning and packing for the vacation, but they never go. There are others that just go and they're going to wing it, and they don't know, they haven't maybe packed the right things, but they're willing to be risky and go out there and experience life. I think most people, even the really hardcore planners, would say, I'd rather get out and experience the world than never taking the chance. And I'm with you, man. I'm just thrilled to be talking to you guys because I like one of you a lot. Listen, we'll be.
Is there somebody else on here, Brant? Is there? Because I know he doesn't like me, and it's probably not you. Is there a fourth person I don't see?
Hey, man, I have a serious question though. I know you went through that second thought pretty fast, that you've got to have proof you've done some work. Can you maybe explain that a little bit more? Like if somebody, again, if they're thinking about adding consultancy, what does that mean in their world, real life?
Sure. So what is proof? That's the first question. Some of it is social proof. It could be a testimonial on LinkedIn. It could be an email someone has sent you. It could be an actual full-blown case study, right? It could be a big case study that's written up, problem statement. Here's how I attack the problem. Here's the solution. It could be that. Or it could be as simple as, hey, Brant, you remember 3 years ago when I did this thing for you? Could you tell Jim that I did that thing for you? That's proof. Simple stuff. Could be really simple, could be really complex, but you have to have done it.
Yeah.
I want to be clear here, right? This is not fake it till you make it bullshit. This is, I've done the work.
Yeah.
And here's what I've done for you. I am not looking for you to lie for me. If I'm asking you to give me an introduction, your introduction could be as simple as, you know what? Phil's a really nice guy and I like his glasses. Or it could be as hardcore as, you know what? Phil and I worked on a sales project and it resulted in increasing my speaker fee from $350 to $25,000 in just 19 months. Okay, great. Now, not how I did that, but that I did that. That's proof.
Gotcha.
Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Yeah. And I guess, I don't know how many people use LinkedIn referrals. I think that's probably a good way in the business world. At least the three of us, it's important to get client testimonials for sure, whether that's in video, in print, on your website, but sort of the equivalent of that. And I was just thinking, it does start to move into that third thought when you're talking about, work your warm network, utilize that referral business. I'm trying to think, if somebody is fairly new and they don't have any money, where could they start? And those are pretty simple. Like you said, just getting other people to say great things about you, maybe doing some sort of a review, LinkedIn testimonial, all of that stuff will matter, and you can point people to it. So yeah, it makes great sense.
I think too, one of the things that I'm curious on your opinion of this, Phil. So we don't want people, to fake it till they make it, for sure. But the second thing I would say is, if you are that uncomfortable asking someone to say something nice about you for doing something that you've done for somebody else, maybe you shouldn't be a consultant, right? I mean,
right.
what is your thought on that?
Yeah, if you're so shy that you're never going to ask for business, that you're never going to ask for a referral, that you're never even going to say, hey, can you say something nice about me? Yeah, you're probably not cut out to be a consultant. Because here's the thing, you're going to have to make hard recommendations as a consultant.
Yeah.
You're going to have to say, stop doing this, start doing this, continue doing this. You're going to have to say that. If you're that uncomfortable saying that, boy, consultancy is not for you.
Yeah.
You should just stay in corporate, and that's okay. Maybe you build up your consultant muscles, right? Maybe you go to Dale Carnegie, right? Maybe you go to Toastmasters. You can find ways to increase that muscle so you can get comfortable, but maybe this isn't your first step, right? Maybe this isn't your first step. So maybe you do have to spend a little money to get better, but like Toastmasters is a couple $100 a year to practice that. And then here's the key to Toastmasters.
Yeah.
Make it clear what your goals are and use their framework to get to your goals.
Yeah.
That's all, right? Use their framework. I have one of my buddies who's this professional speaker. I met him 15 years ago. He was in corporate America. He had some interesting stories that he wanted to share, but he had never been on stage. He'd been a corporate sales guy. So he's like, well, how do I put a speech together? I said, no, stop asking that. How do I put 5 minutes together 10 times? Yeah. Do that. And now you've got your program, right? And same with the consultant, right? If you want to be a consultant and you want to practice asking, write your sales pitch out.
Yeah.
Practice, right? Get good at it. Because eventually, unless you continue to be scared, you don't have to be an extrovert like me, but you do have to have a little bit of courage, 5 minutes of courage that it takes to have a conversation with people.
Yeah. Then on the flip side, since Brent, you were talking about Kathleen, there's going to be times where you're recommending some hard stuff where the boss, the CEO, the founder, whoever it is in charge, isn't going to like your feedback. They're not going to like what you're bringing to the table that you're consulting about. And this is probably a totally different podcast episode, but how do you deal with that? Because I'm sure you've said you need to stop doing this. And they're paying you to get that feedback, but yet they're not going to do it, or they just tell you blunt, straight out, I'm not going to do that. That's not us. How do you deal with that?
Well, let's back that up, right? We need proof for why we're making a recommendation. Mm-hmm. I'm not just telling you this because I think it's a good idea. I'm telling you this based on my experience. You have to have done it, right? When I tell people, hey, this is how you make your system more effective, people listen to me because I've made systems more effective, right? I've got proof. But if I were to say, well, this is how to write a number one record that will compete with Taylor Swift, people would be like, probably not, Phil. Right? So that's the first thing, right? So I back it up with data. I back it up with research. I back it up with proof, all those things, right? And I come to them with my fact-based recommendation. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they still say no. And I still deliver the news. And it's up to them whether or not they implement it. Remember, as a consultant, here's the great thing. They don't pay you to do the work. They pay you to advise on the work. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why I like to be a consultant. Because if you don't do what I say, you're still paying me. Yeah. It's cool. Like, because I've got all this experience, I'm coming to you with a couple page report, or I'm coming to you in a meeting and saying, hey, here's what we're doing. Yeah. Or here's what I recommend you do. Now, you might need to hire somebody to do it, but I'm not doing the work. You are. And if you're not, guess what? You're not going to get those results. So that's the other thing that I stress, right? I've got the research. And because you said, right, let's steal our buddy Phil Jones' line, right? We don't make those recommendations just willy-nilly. Mm-hmm. Because you said you want to increase profitability 30% next quarter, because you said you want to be 30% more efficient next quarter, because you said you want to be a $25,000 speaker, well, here's my recommendation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the key.
I think, too, one of the things I want to back up just for a second on is this, you had mentioned even like with Toastmasters, right? And they go in and they have this goal in mind. And then your thing is, look, use their framework to help you reach that goal, right? I think it's really funny. It reminds me of my son Theo when he was a kid. We tried to get him to take Aikido classes. And the very first day he goes in and they're showing all of the different moves. All right, I want you to do this. Go ahead and punch this way. Go ahead and kick this way. And within 20 seconds, he goes, no. Watch this. And he immediately starts to do something different. He does not want to do anything that they are recommending. But the funny thing is, I think a lot of us do that, right? When there are frameworks in place. Your whole book is about giving tools that people can use, and they'll read your book and they'll try to invent a tool that doesn't exist yet. And it stops them from doing the simple thing that you're trying to get them to do. How do we get people to not do that? Because the entrepreneur in all of us wants to create. How do we move beyond that create, or at least push that create to the side for a second and use the tools that are already available to us?
Well, first, trust the process. If you've already been successful, if you already have $1 million consultancy, don't buy the book. It's not for you.
Yes.
That's the first thing, right? Secondly, if you bought the book, don't you owe it to yourself to give it a shot? I mean, you bought the book because you want a framework, right? You bought the book because you want some ideas. Now, I'm not telling you have to do them all. I'm not that arrogant. I'm telling you to try one. Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Just try it, right? Just try it. If it totally sucks, that's okay. I understand. I get it, right? I had one guy I have a 1-star review on Amazon. Some guy says, "Oh yeah, other than the tools, all this stuff is stuff I know." Well, good. Are you doing them? Are you doing them? Because I'm going to guess you're not. I mean, if you have time to write a 1-star review on a $20 book because it's stuff you already know, or a 99-cent Kindle book, I don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
Like, you're clearly the wrong audience, right? So if you're hearing this and you're like, Phil, I already know how to get referrals. Well, good. Congratulations. Are you doing it?
Yeah.
Because if you're doing it, your consultancy is spinning. And if you're not, how about you slow down and you give it a chance?
Yeah.
And you see what's available for you. Because I'll tell you right now, there is nothing new under the sun. Just you doing it. Up to you.
Yeah.
You do it, right? Add your flavor to it. Absolutely. But heck, why not try the framework of somebody who's been there a bunch of times, who's coached a bunch of people, who has helped people do this, and who really can simplify. I mean, that's my gift. Again, I'm not teaching you how to write a Taylor Swift song. I'm just teaching you how to get started with your consulting business.
Well, then I would even say that person that wrote the 1-star has one comment about, except for the tools. Okay. Well, a third of the book or a fourth of the book are the tools. So you did get something out of it. So, if you're reading all the way through it, I think everybody probably goes, got that. I rocket that. I crushed number 7 or whatever. But there's probably some in there where they're going, ooh, I'm not doing that at all. Or that's new. Or I had not a clue. And that'll save me some time. So again, I just thought it was brilliant. And I'm glad that you put that thing out there. But if people are looking to really amp it up, if they want to get a hold of you to do some consulting, because you are not $0 consulting, you're going to probably cost a little bit more. How can people get a little bit more information about you and what it is you do, Phil?
Yeah. So my website is philgerby.com, PHILGERBY.com. All my contact info is there, but I'm also going to give you a little secret here. If you're a thought leader like Brant and Jim and I are, and you're in that business and you want to talk about systems and stuff there, I will give you some more $0 consultancy. Won't cost you anything. Just email me, phil@speakerflow.com,
Nice.
PHIL@SPEAKERFLOW.com. Just send me an email and I'll send you my calendar link and we can get together and chat about your systems, learn where your challenges are. And I'll do my best to help you out. And if I can, I will. And if I can't, I'll tell you that too.
That's awesome, man. That's cool. Thanks for giving out the email. What if your challenge is a co-host? Will you still take the email, the call?
Yeah, Brant actually usually texts me, but yeah, I mean, I think that's okay.
He turned it on me.
Well, you can email me at Brant@GOFUC. Never mind.
ROCK in the USA. I got it, Brant.
Yeah. And that's how we end this episode. No, man. You know what? This was cool. And I'm going to push again the book $0 Consultancy. We will obviously have that in the show notes. We talked about it in the introduction, but man, we just love you, brother. You're always just a breath of fresh air, and so thankful to have you back. Brant can attest. We've only probably had 3 or 4 repeat guests in our entire 5-year history. So you're kind of a big deal, man.
Wow.
That's what I'm saying.
right.
I guess I rock, huh?
It's go Ohio. That's what it is.
Go to Ohio? I'm already here.
Yeah.
Where am I supposed to go?
I said it's what Ohio's done for you, man. Look at
guess.
that already.
That's it.
Right?
Yeah.
They called him home. That's what they've done. Hey, man, we will talk to you soon. Love you, man.
Thanks,
Rock
guys.
on.
Love you guys.
Hey, rock stars. Thanks so much for tuning in.
Yeah, and listen, we know how busy you are, and grabbing those little nuggets of wisdom that can amp up your life are super hard to come by. So we hope this episode helped you enough for you to maybe subscribe and consider leaving us a rating and a review so that we can continue to grow the show.
Thoughts That Rock is a proud member of the Evergreen Podcast Network and also supports Cannonball Kids Cancer and their fight for finding and funding treatment options for kids who have run out of options. They're amazing. Their work is incredible. To learn more, please go to cannonballkidscancer.org.
Finally, if you're interested in having Brant or Jim or both of us speak at your event, whether as a virtual webinar or an in-person conference keynote or mastermind, contact us directly at thoughtsthatrock.com.
Until next time,
Rock on!